my friends. Hello and welcome to another episode of Your Favorite Villain. It's me again, your host, Rytis Valiunas, and today I have a very special guest. And this guest, she's originally from Lithuania. Um, Her name's Gabie, and she recently relocated to the Netherlands from New York City, where she lived for the last 4 years, my friends. Gabie is a certified life coach and a digital creator who is passionate about all things psychology and spirituality. Her mission is to help people explore their inner world and deepen their understanding of who they are. Gabie's work and life motto is, as you think, so shall you be. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to present life coach, digital creator, actress, and a very, very good friend of mine, Gabie. Hey, Gabie, how's it going?
Hey, it's going really well. How about you?
Uh, can't complain. Can't complain. Living day by day, living in the moment.
Same.
All right, so let's go straight into the business. Let's talk villains. So,
Okay.
as you know, obviously that my typecast is the international mastermind who loves to see your hero suffer, and and I'm doing this as kind of a research to see who are the villains that people like and see if I can learn something from their choices. Now, tell me, who are your all-time favorite villains from any fictional work? It can be books, it can be movies, TV, whatever.
So the crazy thing about the heroes villains thing that I was thinking about villains and I was like, what villains do I even know of? Because like I don't think I watch enough like hero villain movies. But then I thought of Loki, and I think that Loki is my favorite one just because like I love Thor overall, and I think the clash between Thor and Loki is just like genius. So I'd have to say that it's Loki.
Mm, it's a good choice. It's a good choice. As soon as you said that, I remember when which one? I think it was Infinity War. Um,
So good.
when it came out, I was still new to New York. I was was living in the Academy House, in my
Mm.
acting conservatory's house, and everyone was like, we had a lot of people on the floor, and everyone was was saying which superhero they most like they most look like, or they're just like, like their personality matches the most. And I was like, I at that time I was not really aware of like most of them, but everyone looked at me and they're like you're Loki, and I'm like, okay, what's that? And then I saw the movies, and Tom Hiddleston. Yeah, I agree. That's a very, very good character, very good
So good.
performance.
So
Because
good.
you just you
Yeah.
just you just love to hate him, and
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
and at the same time, I feel like you do understand kind of like the human side of him as well, which is
Exactly.
which is interesting. I feel like when you're talking about basically like historical like Norse gods and stuff like that, it's like okay, you can make them human, so that's cool.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
any other
Well,
options?
well, the thing is, like, if I guess it's not really like a conventional villain because, as I said, like I don't watch that many superhero movies. But if I take my favorite movie and I look at the villain in my favorite movie, it's
Hmm.
going to be The Devil Wears Prada, and the villain is Meryl Streep because she's this evil editor. So honestly, I feel like that would be my other favorite villain, who's just
Hmm.
like a boss, but also you don't have to be that mean, but then you sort of get it. So it's also very relatable and you understand why she is the way she is. But I think that like in sort of like a chick, I don't know if I'd even call it a chick flick, but I think in like a chick flick movies, like she's like the greatest villain.
Yeah, for sure. And were you kind of like Michael from The Office, where he was shocked that he's like plot twist at the end, she was the bad guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good choice. I think that's the first time anyone has chosen that. But again, it's I think for me that performance is, yeah, like immediately you're like, okay, she's very much like, like cold and like almost like has no human emotions, kind of like seems like a
Yeah.
robotic in a way, and just like very strict. But at the same time, like there's a reason for why she is the way she is. And it's always fun to, for me, movies that allow their villains to have that chance of, like, or actually allows the audience to discover the fact that the villains are also like
Mm,
they're not just bad because they're bad. Sometimes they are, but most of the time, a well-made villain is like afterwards you're like, yeah, I kind of hate that person, but like, but also I get him. I get him.
yeah. What's that movie? What's the actor that is in Mad Max Fury Road, the newest one? Um what's his name? Do you know what I mean? He was in. There's this superhero movie called Venom. Have you seen it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The guy who plays Venom, what's his
Tom
name?
Hardy.
Yes, Tom Hardy. So is he a villain or is he a hero? Because I feel like in that movie he's sort of both. Has he's sort of evil, but he's sort of killing bad people. So does it count as hero?
Well, that's a good question. That's a good question, and I think ever since The Dark Knight, it's been the question that kind of
Mm,
like like action movies and superhero movies have been asking that question about like where's that line that separates hero from a villain, and it's
mm,
like isn't it kind of like we all have both sides in a way, and sometimes it's like because like back in the day it used to be very much like even I mean in any story, books, film, TV, theater as well, it's like it's very clear cut, like that guy's the bad guy, that guy's the hero, that person's this, that person's that. But I think with this, I mean even Venom, when you really think about it, it's like what, how am I
yeah,
supposed to feel about that?
it's so
And I
good
feel
though.
like that's what the industry's been asking, in terms of like just like artistic approach is like what constitutes a hero and a villain. So I
Mm,
agree. It's I can't answer that. I don't know
yeah,
which way
me
they were.
neither.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a choose your own adventure in terms of like whoever you root for, that's your hero. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about you. So we met when you were in New York, right? You were acting at that time.
I was.
Yeah, and you
It was.
auditioned for a play that I was
I did.
directing.
Yeah, but the crazy thing was that I remember so clearly going on now God, now that I'm not doing any acting anymore, I even forgot the website. It wasn't Backstage, it was
Actors Access.
Actors Access, was it? So Actors Access. I remember being on that website um and seeing some audition for a play, and then I think I like closed it off or I declined it because I was like, oh no, like at that point I said, you know what, I don't want to do any more plays. I've done enough plays. I was like focusing on short films. And I think 2 or 3 days later, I got an email again being like, oh, audition for this, play. And I looked at it and I was like, no, I don't want to do any plays anymore. And then I pressed on the details and it said director Rytis Valiunas. And I was like, is he Lithuanian? I have to go now. Like, I have to go. And I remember waiting for like 2 hours in that audition room because there were like so many girls and I was second to last to go. And then when I put my headshot and I was like, are you Lithuanian? You're like, yeah. And then I started talking in Lithuanian to you. Um, yeah, I'm so grateful that I actually went to that audition because I feel like if I would have declined it the second time, I would have never met you. And that would just been really sad. So,
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I do remember that moment as well. That was one of the most unexpected things where I was just like, I was sitting, just like seeing people, like listening to their monologues, looking at headshots and resumes and stuff. And then you come in and I look at your shot and I even flip it and I see your name and like it just like goes right above my head. I'm like, didn't associate. And then you're like spoken Lithuanian to me. And I was like, I'm sorry, what's happening right now? And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, it was like so out of the blue. But yeah, I'm happy you auditioned too. You did really, really well in that one. And afterwards, we became really good friends.
yeah.
And yeah, it was really fun. Now, you already mentioned like at that time you were kind of like moving away from acting and you were diving into other things. Now, you are a certified personal coach and a life coach, and you're a content creator.
Hmm.
How did all of that happen for you? Was it kind of like all at the same time? I know that you started some things earlier and then like transitioned into others. Like how does one become so many things?
I feel like it was, yeah, I feel like it sort of happened all at once, but basically, I finished my acting conservatory, started doing some short films, some plays, and I also started my own personal training business in my second year of acting school. So I was a certified personal trainer. I was working with like private clients, and I've always been interested in like people's mindset, psychology, sort of like the whole like inner world, as I'd like to call it. And especially working with personal training clients, I would see that people are transforming on the outside and their like body is changing, because for a lot of people they're like, oh yeah, I'm not good enough because like I need to be fitter or whatever. But then they would change, they would get fitter, but they still wouldn't see that and they wouldn't feel a different way. And I was like, huh, this is so interesting that like the outside can change, but if you're not changing anything on the inside, nothing's going to change either way. So during that time, when I graduated my acting school, I began a YouTube channel and I started making videos related to like fitness videos, because I was a personal trainer and I was like, oh, let me make fitness videos. But then I realized it was too much because I was working out myself. I was like working with my clients all the time. And then in my free time, I was creating content about fitness as well. And I was like, there's only so much fitness that I can handle. Um, so because I've always been interested in personal development, I just started making videos related to personal development. And then I started creating other content, sort of like little videos for just for fun or something outdoors. And then I created some videos for like a dental clinic, and I started creating videos for other businesses, because I love the process of the video creation, the shooting and the editing and adding the music and the text. It's like bringing the whole story together. And then during that time, I was thinking, I think I'd want to be like a certified life coach, because I love personal training, but I'm much more enthusiastic and passionate about like what's happening up here. So during that time as well, I decided to leave New York because New York wasn't sitting right with me anymore. And then I relocated to Europe, and then I got certified as a life and mindset coach. So now I do the coaching, but I also create the content related to coaching, and I'm working on a program that I'm creating right now. So I feel like it's like they've all been a part of me, but during different phases in life, different things were emphasized more than the other ones. But now, right now, I feel like I still have personal training. I talk about the physical well-being, but I also understand that you can't have full physical well-being and appreciate it unless like you're really well, in your mind and with your thoughts and your beliefs and the way you think. So that's kind of like everything was intertwined all the time, I think for me. So yeah.
Hmm. And what I really respect and appreciate about you is that I remember there were many times when after, because I think wasn't the play that I directed and you were in was kind of one of your last, so to speak, acting gigs in a way.
It
Did you
was like
do
the last.
the last? Yeah, yeah. Because I remember you were like, oh, I'm gonna go more into like creating content and like YouTube videos. I was like, great. And then we would meet or talk, and then you would it seemed like to me like almost every time you had like a slightly different direction you wanted to try. So you tried. I remember one time you were like, I want to do like comedy videos, and then
Comedy.
you like did an entire like a month of research and just like you started making comedy videos, and then you're like after a while you're like, you know what,
It's
nah,
not
this is I wanna do podcasts. So then you turned your closet
a
into a
podcast recording room.
yeah, and then you did some podcasts, and then you're like, no, that's also not me. And then you started doing some other videos, which I'm gonna screen share right now with everybody. I'm gonna show everyone the the your YouTube channel, and when I open it up, funny enough, the first video that pops up is um, the one that's called "I Did 50 Acts of Kindness." Um,
Yeah.
Now, a certain somebody did help you take that thumbnail picture as well as as
Uh-huh.
film that video. So you did this entire like series of videos dedicated
Kindness.
to kindness, yeah, and
Uh-huh.
dedicated to making people happy. And then
Mm.
I feel like that naturally then transitioned into life coaching as well, which also in your life I think goes back to what like you started meditating yourself since you were what, 15 or so,
Oh, 11?
11 even.
11. Yeah,
Wow.
11, 12. So it's been over 10 years, which is
Yeah.
crazy, but also phenomenal because I can't imagine like going through middle school and high school and especially like acting school without having this practice. So yeah, like my meditation practice has been here for over 10 years, which is nuts to think
Yeah,
about.
which is incredible. And the fact for me that you whatever you set your mind to, you were just like you were like, I'm all in on this right now, and you would just go after it. I feel like
Mm.
that's a great thing, and I feel like a lot of people want to have that. I don't know if it's a skill or like a mindset. So how did you, were you always kind of like this? Did meditation help? Like what was the thing about, what's the thing about you that helped you kind of be that way, where you can just fully decide what you want to do and you just go after it, and then immediately as soon as you feel like, you know what, this is not whatever I want to do,
Mm.
you go to the next thing and you do the same thing.
Yeah. I feel like just the fact the whole acting conservatory experience helped because when I went into the acting conservatory, I was dead set on like being an actor. I was like, I'm moving to New York, I'm going to acting school, I'm living in New York forever, I'm going to be an actor for the rest of my life. So then after I did the whole acting thing, I was like, actually, I don't think I want to do this because like it's fun and the training is phenomenal. I still use it when I create my content, but I just realized that you truly don't know what a thing is and what it takes to do it unless you fully immerse yourself in it. Because you can't say, oh, like sushi is my favorite food. If you've never tried sushi, it's like, how can you don't know what it tastes like. You don't know if you're going to like it. So I feel like since then, even with the comedy videos, I did the full comedy thing. And as I was doing the comedy videos, I was doing stand-up comedy. Like I actually went to like a few clubs in New York and I did my stand-up 5 minute, like 3 minute sets. So I was like fully immersed. But after doing it, I was like, okay, can I see myself as a comedian, like doing the whole comedy thing, being in clubs every night and like traveling around? And I was like, yeah, no, doesn't sit right with me. So I just sort of like I try everything and then I pick the elements that I enjoy the most and I sort of like take them onto the next stage. So even now with the coaching or the content that I create now, even though it's like not comedy content, but when I do talk about the subjects that I really care about, like personal development and mindfulness, I still incorporate some comedy into it because it makes it more lighthearted, but also it's easier to digest and it doesn't have to be so serious. So I honestly feel like to answer your question, there are two things. Number one, that it's like you don't really know what it is until you fully immerse yourself in it. But number two, like nothing scares me more than wondering, oh, what would have been like if I did this? What would have been like if I did that? Even the fact that like I moved to New York and I thought I'm gonna live there forever, and now I'm back in Europe. For me, sometimes I think about it and I'm like, I never in a million years would have thought that I'm gonna come back to Europe. But I know that I would be very upset if I never went to New York because I'd always wonder what would it been like. So now I went there. I was there for 4 years. I came back and I'm like, yo, loved it. Great. I'll go back for a month or two at a time, but I'm not going to be there full time anymore. So yeah, it's just sort of like the regret and always wondering what if it's like, no, you better do it and then say, hey, I did it and it's not for me, rather than being like, oh, I never tried it because I was scared and having the regret. So yeah, no regrets. Mm-mm.
Hmm.
No bueno.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that a lot, and I think it's fascinating because I know I have caught myself in life thinking about things about like, oh, if I possibly do this, what will be the outcome, and then just like dreaming about what this experience is going to be,
Mm,
rather than just like, okay, if I want to do this, let's try it out. I think acting was probably the only thing in my life, and still is, where I was like, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm gonna do,
amazing.
and I haven't at least yet had that experience of like, like I feel like this is kind of done for me. But I remember the moment when you started talking about maybe my time in New York was kind of done, and it's again like this is something that I feel like there has to be like a switch that you just like kind of flip on and off in your
Mm,
brain, which goes like like you just listen to yourself, like you listen to your gut, to your intuition, whatever you want to call it, and it's like it's always telling us things.
yeah.
And if you're in tune with it, how much it can help you, because there are so many people I feel like in life who know they're like, oh well, I spent 10 years doing this, I can't quit now even though I hate it, or like I feel like I want to move on, right?
Exactly. Because it's almost like the craziest thing for me is that, like, let's say you're like 35 or like 37, right? And you say, no, 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 I can't quit because I've been in this job for 10 years. I have a master's in the subject. And I'm thinking, okay, so you're 37 and you're saying that you can't quit something because you've done it for so long. Okay, buddy, you've done it for 10 years. And let's say you're going to live for the next 50. So just because you did something for 10 years, you're going to say, now I have to do it for the next 50 years? No, you don't have to do that at all. And there's this book that I read by this writer Elizabeth Gilbert, and the book is called Big Magic, and she talks all about like creativity. And in that book she says that when she was in her 20s, I believe, in New York City, she met this woman who was in her 80s, like I think she was like 86 or 87. And basically that woman, she was, I don't know what she did in her life as a career, but she did it up to about like 60, and then she realized, I don't want to do it anymore, I'm done. So then for 10 years she studied archaeology because she loved it, and then because she studied for so long and in such depth, she became the expert in that field in her mid 70s. And I was just like, yo, like, I always remember that story because I'm like, even when you're 60 and you want to change your path, you can. The only person that's saying, oh no, you can't do it, is you. It's nobody else. It's you. So it's like you're shooting yourself in your foot, which is just like, don't shoot yourself in your own foot.
Yeah,
Like,
don't do
don't do
that.
it. Don't.
That's not a good idea. Yeah. And
No.
I think it's also like when you talk about it, it's again it's fascinating to me because it's what I see, it's just you take a look at something and there's a mindset around a certain thing. Like for example, switching your career, which is in general we all have kind of like collective consciousness style. We're all like, yeah, it's probably not a good thing because nobody really does it that much. So if I do it, it's I'm either weird or like something's wrong with me, when in reality it's just a shift of perspective of like, yeah, this is your life, like you make the choices, so go make the choices. And
Yeah,
like even if people don't like it, like so what, like they're not living your life, like you have to live to the full the life that you
exactly.
want to live, as much as you can, I
Yeah.
feel like,
And
right?
I feel like, yeah, and I feel like the greatest realization that I've had is that, when you're saying, oh, I can't do this because, like, what are people gonna think? Nobody's thinking about you. Even they might think about you for like 5 minutes if they see you on like, your social feed, and they're going to be like, oh wow, she changed her career, that's super weird, scroll scroll scroll, never going to think about you ever again, because everybody is so immersed in their own life. And when I think about, oh my god, what are others going to say, or I'm talking about spirituality and I'm like, oh my god, all these people are going to think I'm this crazy universe girl. And then I think how often I know and then I think how often do I think about somebody else in their life? And I'm like, I don't, because I'm too busy thinking about my own life. So, um, yeah. So I'm really not scared about being the crazy universe girl. I just embrace it.
That's going to be one of your famous quotes from now on as well. People are going to think that I'm this crazy universe girl. I love it. I love it. It's going to be right up there with daily Gabby's weather update.
Yeah.
And
Which comes to you the day after.
yeah. 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 All right. So in that same spirit, you've delved into different areas of careers, different paths, different kind of like lifestyle, even choices. Now, what would you say, like at the end of it all, when it's all said and done, for
Hmm.
yourself,
Hmm.
what would be, if you had the chance to, like somebody flips through historical personality book, they see your photo, and there's like a couple of sentences talking about you. What would you want your personal legacy to be like? What would you look at? You would read it and you would go like, I lived my life correctly if I did that.
Hmm. Probably. Hmm. Such a good question. How many sentences?
Three.
3 sentences.
Just three, like a very brief, like summary, and it can be professional life, it can be personal life,
Uh-huh.
just in terms of, like, how you Google somebody, their photo pops up, some basic info about them, and like
Mm-hmm.
a short paragraph of who they
Yeah.
were and why are they significant. But it's not more about like why are you significant in other people's minds, but like for yourself, like what would you want to leave behind that you can look at and you can go like, yeah, okay, I'm okay with this.
Mm. Okay. I think the first sentence would be like curiosity about everything. Like I question everything. I'm very curious about everything, even if it's like somebody's behavior or somebody else, if somebody's being rude. Like for example, we have a nasty neighbor. She's rude, not nice, right? And you could be like, oh my God, this neighbor awful. But for me, it's like, okay, happy people don't act this way. Like there's something happening in her life. What, so like I question everything. It's like you can bump me on the street and being like, move, and I'll be like, okay, why are you acting this way? So just like curiosity about everything, being like, why do you do what you do? So curiosity, like curious about everything. Um, Importance on the inner world first before the outer world, for sure. If I feel like as long as I'm working on like what's happening in here, um, everything's gonna be fine. Because you want it or not, the way you experience life is all about you because of you. So yeah, curiosity about everything, importance on the inner world, and also such a deep question. It's so difficult to like.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is actually a different question that I'm really asking people. I'm gonna spill some beans right here. This is actually a different question that I'm really asking, and I'm masking it as this question, and it's
Wait, I
just
haven't. Wait, do I need to say my third sentence before it or not?
uh no, I mean
Okay, okay,
you
just
can
tell
just
me.
you can just have your, I mean, you don't have to say three. I just say
Okay,
three because
okay.
it's just a better looking number than two in my eyes,
Okay.
just purely visually. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, number two. I have nothing against you personally, but just like number three looks better. Yeah, but there's a reason. I mean, this is a question that's actually a different question masked in
Okay.
a way. But I'm not gonna. I'll tell you after we record, so the audience is
Okay.
still kept on the edge of their seat, right?
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Suspense.
All right, suspense. Yeah, let's shift to this. Now, this is a fun part for me. I always ask people to send me some fun photos of them or just share some fun
Mm-hmm.
memories because we all know we all have them. Now
Yes.
this is a photo that you sent me. I'm gonna screen share and then I'm gonna let you tell the story of what is happening
Okay.
in
I
this
was
photo. What's going on? There we go. That's the photo.
I was
Yeah.
going, yeah, you can zoom in on that little guy over there by the yeah, here we go. Here we go.
Yep.
So, this was in Bali, and that's a salamander.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an ongoing family joke. Me and my family, we went to Spain 2.5 years ago, and there were so many salamanders. And out of nowhere, I started naming all of them Peter, right? So every time I see a salamander, I'm like, oh, Peter the salamander, right? So anywhere that we go where there are salamanders, I'm just like, oh, look, Peter. So like everybody now, they're just like, oh, Peter here, Peter there, right? And it's the funniest thing because it's a salamander, but you name him Peter. So this was in Bali, and I was sunbathing, and I look to my left, and I see this little salamander, and I'm like, oh my god, Peter is so close to me. I need to take a selfie with Peter. Um, so basically, in my world, there's only one salamander, and his name is Peter. So any salamander that I meet, I'm like, that's Peter. So it's one Peter, one universal salamander. So that was my first selfie ever that I took with my dear friend Peter.
So what you're saying, is that your dear friend Peter the Salamander, he's kind of pitbull. He's Mr. International, right?
Yeah,
He's, yeah,
he
all over
is
the world.
everywhere.
I love that. That's great. So in that same spirit, I sometimes share some ridiculous photos of myself
Yes.
because trust me, friends, I have many. Now I just found this one, and I think this is a good one to share. Yeah. So this is
Oh, what? Are you like Scrooge?
no, this is just me.
Just you, it's just me.
No, it was a gig that I had. I don't exactly remember what it was, but I was doing something like it was like one of those, like, like libraries would have like live events of kinds. So
Okay.
I think I was promoting something. That's the costume they gave me, and I looked at myself and I'm like, I'm definitely making a ton of ridiculous selfies because this outfit, the stash, the top hat, I was like, everything's great. And now I look at it and I'm like, come on,
Where
come
was
on.
this?
It was back in Lithuania. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This was
Mm,
back in the good old days, back home. So let's I don't know if speaking about home directly of Lithuania, but since you've traveled and you've lived in different places as well, is there anything that's like a catchphrase for you? That's something that's stuck. That like if I ask your friends or people who know you around the world, they would say like, "Oh, this is something that Gabby says all the time."
um, Probably a very enthusiastic, positive exclamation like, that's amazing. Or like, that's mind blowing. And I feel like I say that's mind blowing so often that my family is over like always asking me like, oh, is it mind blowing though? Like if I'll say, oh, that's really good, they're gonna be like, but is it mind blowing? So probably that's amazing. Like I say that all the time. Or actually, this could be more accurate. This is the greatest book I've ever read. I read a lot of books. And probably on a weekly basis, I'll be like, this is the greatest book I've ever read. But I say that about every single book. So probably
Yeah,
that's honestly, that's,
I can definitely vouch for both of those, but I think this is the greatest book ever it's the most accurate one
yeah,
because I was about to bring up as well a book that you recommended
yeah.
for me, which was The Surrender
Because it was,
Experiment.
yeah, because it's the greatest book ever.
Yeah, and it is, and it came to me like at a very, very correct time, I would say, in my life, and I feel like that might even be a book that we could suggest everybody as a reading material right now because it's
Mm-hmm.
I think again it gives you that positive kind of a mind shift and like a like helps you look into a different perspective towards life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Surrender
yeah,
Experiment. Everybody, go get it.
yeah. All right. So this question now, this one's really, really fun for me because so far people have had some interesting answers. We're talking about pickup lines. Now, I don't know if you've ever used those things, if you ever needed to, but I think I'm fairly certain that you have heard some in
Yeah.
your life. So, have you ever actually used those? And if you have, or if you would at some point, what would be your line? And then you can share horror stories from the lines that you have heard.
If I've ever used one, I don't think so. Maybe as a joke, but I don't think I've seriously ever used it. Um, However, I've encountered people using pickup lines on me, and I don't know. Number one is like, I'm not a fan of pickup lines at all. I don't like it. But I think maybe the silliest one that anybody has ever said was, oh my God, it probably was ages ago. I don't know. There was something about, um, oh, it was something about how much does a polar bear weigh? And I was like, I don't know. And they were like, oh, enough to break the ice. Hi, my name is. And I was just like,
Yeah. I think the theme of this has become as well talking with everybody because I'm talking with a lot of creative people. It's like just like go up to someone and start a conversation. Like you don't
yeah,
need something because again, newsflash for everybody who has not seen previous episodes. Pickup lines, even if they work, you have to follow them with something. So at a certain point, it's just going to be you communicated with another human being. So why don't you just go in with that and then make a genuine connection, right?
golden advice.
There we go. So that's what we're getting out of this. Now let's shift to something out of this world, quite literally. Imagine you're traveling to Mars, right? To
Hmm.
to colonize, to live there, to be one of the first human settlers. You have a chance to take 3 personal items. Everything is provided for you. You'll have like food, water, internet, whatever you need. Like you'll have all the supplies, but you can have like 3 personal items that you can take from Earth as like a, I don't know, like a memory or like a token or like something that you just want to bring on the journey because there's some space left in the capsule or whatever device Elon will provide us eventually. um what are you taking? What would be your 3 things?
My Kindle. So I would download a lot of books onto it and then take it with me.
So you
I
can
would,
then promote them as the greatest book ever.
yeah, exactly. I would probably take my video camera because I would vlog the whole thing, like going to Mars, make a dope video out of it, post it on YouTube, become famous. How I went to Mars, golden.
The first
Um,
interplanetary influencer ever.
exact. Yo, that sounds incredible. Just like I can just see that in my Instagram bio right now. Interplanetary influencer. And the third thing I would take, what would I take? Actually, what is it that I always have to take with me? I would probably take I know what I would take. I would take this sweater that I have. It's this light blue sweater and it has a Minnie on it, like the Mickey Mouse Minnie. Because my mom got it in Disneyland when I was 6. We went to Disneyland to Paris. She got that sweatshirt. She was wearing it all the time because it was too big for me. Now I'm wearing it all the time, and it's been like 17 years. So it has so much like emotional value for me, and it just makes me feel all cozy. So I would put it on so I feel safe on my flight to Mars, and then I would like wear it all the time there when I'm like very homesick of like, missing the earth and everything. So
Yeah, and having seen that sweater in one of your YouTube videos, because you almost made an entire video about it. So
yeah.
if anybody wants to know what she's talking about, go check out her channel. It's Gabie on YouTube, and you'll eventually get to the video where she's telling this entire story, and you'll get
Yeah.
to see it.
Yeah.
It does look very cozy.
Yeah.
Now you've already mentioned Instagram. That's a good segue into my next question, which is always fun, about Instagram hashtags. Now you are very active on Instagram, and you have been for years. Your Instagram handle is InstaGabby,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not mistaken. So everybody go check her Instagram out as well. Now the question is, if you yourself were a hashtag on Instagram, what hashtag would you be if you were not a human being but you were a hashtag? What would you be?
Inner world, for sure. Hashtag inner world. I would be that hashtag that people use when they're like, you know what? I've been doing some deep thinking. I've been really sitting with myself, going inward. Hashtag inner world. Yeah. So
Yeah, and you would always
that's me.
show up there. Love it. All right, friends. So you heard it here first. Go on Instagram, hashtag inner world. Make sure to tag Gabby in there as well. And yeah, that transitions really well into the last kind of segment of my show, which is I always encourage my guests to share something that's uniquely theirs, that's something they're passionate about, something that drives them. And I know you mentioned you wanted to do a quick exercise, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a really quick grounding exercise just to connect you more to your body, but also if you have a lot going on, just to like recenter you. It takes about 2 minutes and I can lead you through it if you want. And anybody who's watching it, you can do it as well.
All right, tell me what to do.
Okay, so if you're sitting, you're sitting. If you're standing, because are you standing? Yeah,
I
you're
am
standing.
standing.
Okay, so close your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So for everybody who's sitting, you're going to bring your focus to the bottom of your spine. And for anybody who's standing, you're going to bring your focus to the bottom of your feet. And you're going to imagine that you are a tree. So from the bottom of your spine or through your feet, you're going to imagine these beautiful big roots going down into the earth. And if you're in an apartment building, it's going to go through all the layers, through different floors, to the cement until it touches the ground. And then it keeps traveling down and down, hitting different layers, maybe of stone, of some water, sand, bringing that focus onto the roots. You keep going deeper and deeper into the ground until you finally reach the core of the earth. So you're going to see this beautiful core of the earth. It's just energy and this warmth. And when you see the core of the earth, the roots are going to wrap around the core of the earth. So you can feel the warmth, you can feel the energy. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. And now, as you breathe in, you're going to draw that energy and warmth up the roots, and it's going to travel all the way up the roots, finally touching either the soles of your feet or the bottom of your spine. And then this warmth is going to spread all through your body, everywhere, every limb, your face, your back, your legs, your tummy. And take another deep breath in, being filled with this beautiful energy from the core of the earth and being grounded through the roots. And whenever you feel you're ready, you can open your eyes.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel re-energized.
I
I'm not
love
gonna
that
lie.
visual so much. It's
That
just
is
I love it. Yeah. And you can do that whenever you want exactly to feel a little bit more energy or just to ground yourself. It takes 2-3 minutes and it's fairly simple.
it is. It is. Oh, all right. That was good. Now, before we shift to the very fun dance party part of this, do you have any questions for me, possibly?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
What would your Instagram hashtag be?
My Instagram hashtag. Well, not to shamelessly plug the channel that
Oh, you're gonna see your
hopefully
favorite villain?
people or no, I actually have one because that one was taken. But I think I have a better one, which is keep your heroes, give me villains. Because I
Mm.
feel like I mean, that's pretty much not only my acting brand, but I would say that would sum up kind of like my life as well. Because I'm just like, you know what, just have your people who are, you know, have their frames and have their morals and everything. Not that I'm like immoral myself, but I'm like just like, you know, I wanna meet people who are different, interesting, and
Mm.
sometimes even misunderstood. Because I feel like I remember specifically when I was back home in acting school and we were doing a play and they were giving out roles to everybody, and I got the role the only time that I got a role that I actually wanted to get. I was so happy, and they're like, "Oh, he's like the bad guy," and I'm like, No, no, no." I'm like, "No, he's not. He's living his life. Like just because everybody else thinks that
Mm-hmm.
he's something doesn't make you something. You know? It's like it's you if you live the life the way you want to live. I mean, and you don't actively hurt other people consciously. Like you're not a villain. You're just like you're living life differently. So I feel like, yeah,
I
hashtag
love
keep
that.
your heroes, give me villains. Yeah. All right.
I love it.
So let's do the dance party part of this. So as always, I ask my friends and my guests, what's the song that gets them going? You know, maybe their guilty pleasure song, maybe a song that they just like gets them out of a rut a little bit. Yeah. So tell everybody what we're gonna be listening to
We're
while I do
going
some
we're,
technological magic.
we're going to listen to Havana by I can't pronounce Camila. I'm not gonna try and pronounce her last name. Camila Cabello, I think so. So yeah, Havana. It's really fun, and honestly, I think like it's being overplayed, and it's been overplayed, but I still love it. So
Oh no,
here we go.
it's a great song. I love the song as well. All right, so my friends, everybody, put your headphones on because we are doing this as always, style and disco style. All right, so make sure you have your songs.
Yeah. So
You got it.
I'm gonna play it through Spotify. You're not gonna hear it, right?
Hopefully, because we don't want to get any copyright issues.
Can you hear it now?
Nope.
Okay, I'm perfect. Okay.
All right, good. So let's do it. Oh yeah. All right, my friends. So you can keep jamming out to this song. This was the latest episode of Your Favorite Villain. I'm your host, Rytis Valiunas. My guest, Gabie Rudyte. Thank you, Gabie, for being here.
Thank you for
And,
having me.
and I will see everybody in the next one. Bye, guys.